Welcome to NEISD Council PTA's Single Member District 2 Candidate Forum. We're happy that you joined us, and we will get started here shortly. We still have a minute left. All right, well, good evening. Ooh, this is much better sound than what we've had in our other two forums. This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you those of us who joined on our Facebook Live or who are watching this recorded. This is being live streamed on our Facebook page, so if you're in the audience and know people who would like to see it, please encourage them to go to the NEISD Council of PTA's Facebook page to watch it. PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children, and this is in line with the expectations of our school board. Our school board is tasked with ensuring that our children receive the finest comprehensive education in a safe and secure learning environment, and we applaud all three of you for stepping up to help serve out this mission. The expectation of our audience is to listen respectfully to our moderator and candidates, no clapping, outbursts, or gestures. We encourage you to take pictures at this event and post to your social media with the hashtag PTA votes. And at this time, I'm so grateful to have a student moderator here. We have Leah Hartman. She is a Debate 3 honors student and a graduating student here at Roosevelt. She's been involved in speech and debate since 2018, is in the National Honor Society and serves as their parliamentarian. She's on the Science National Honor Society, the bowling team, awesome. She is on the Dazzlers JV dance team, was definitely a senior, and served as the first lieutenant, also was on the Cavaliers Pep Squad and the Roosevelt Police Explorers. She's done volunteer work as a team mentor for her debate team, and like I said, she's planning to go to Texas A&M here in San Antonio in the fall. So this is a really cool part of the forum to get to have a student moderator. So with no further ado, I will hand it off to Leah.
Thank you, Ms. Eastwood, for the introduction. Again, my name is Leah Hartman, and I'm a proud student at Roosevelt High School. I want to start by thanking you all for being here today, in person and watching online. Elections matter, and being an informed voter is paramount. So you are all aware all candidates who officially filed for NEISD School Board of Trustees Single Member District 2 were invited to participate and were provided with the questions ahead of time. Today we have with us Jacqueline Klein, Rhonda Roland, and Terry Williams. Candidates, as for the rules of this forum, we ask each of you to respond directly to the content matter in the question that is posed. We ask you not to engage with your fellow candidates and refrain from referencing other candidates' past statements. We want you to use your time to allow those present and viewing online to learn more about you. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, to answer each question, and to provide a closing statement at the end. There is a timekeeper in the front row who will hold a clipboard to keep us on track today. Opening and closing statements will be done in alphabetical order, while speaking order for the questions may vary. Now that we have this all squared away, let's start with our opening statements. Ms. Klein, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Now is it good? Thank you, Leah, for being here and moderating today, and thank you everyone for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedules to be here and hear about what we want to accomplish on the school board. My name is Jacqueline Klein. I am a lifelong resident of San Antonio. I am a 17-year resident of NEISD. I am the only candidate before you today who has school-aged children. I have 2 boys who are 7 and 12. As a single mother, my ex-husband is one of my best friends, and we are committed to co-parenting our children, their well-being, and equipping them with the tools to achieve their maximum potentials are our top priority. My parents are also here with us tonight. They are my gold standard role models, and they are the foundation upon which my family values were formed. I am the product of a public school, and I hold 2 degrees from San Antonio College, one in Associate of Liberal Arts, and the other in Associate of Sciences. I work in the insurance industry, and in my job, I focus on community service and fundraising. I bring people together, and I want to do that for the residents of NEISD in District 2.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Roland. I'm a retired educator with 33 years of experience, including that as a teacher, assistant principal, at-risk program director, and central office fine arts coordinator. I have certification in music, elementary education, special education, ESL, mid-management, and superintendent. I have a doctorate degree in educational leadership from Texas A&M University, and I have written more than 100 articles in newspapers, magazines, and professional journals. I have a passion for involving parents at school and have won awards for innovative parent programs. I was named State Distinguished Principal and an Influential Woman of Texas. I am a wife, mother, and grandmother. My home is Windcrest. Since my retirement, I have volunteered with SA Youth Literacy, serve in Windcrest Women's Club to give scholarships and grants to students and teachers in NEISD schools, and partner with my church to support the teachers in our community schools. I have personally collected supplies, student prizes, and teacher treats for local schools. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your current representative on NEISD School Board, District 2. I'm Terry Williams. I have 30 years in economic development, City of San Antonio, Brook City-based Port San Antonio, and currently I'm at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I think at some point some folks thought I was with University Health System. No, 11 years with the University of Texas San Antonio, Associate Regional Director for the Institute of Economic Development. I'm a lifelong resident of San Antonio. I was born in Galveston, Texas. A lot of folks call it BOI, born on the island. But I have 2 sons that are graduates of this school right here, Roosevelt High School, Engineering Technology Academy. They're now 29 and 31 years old. One works for the City of Austin. The other one works for Amazon. I'm a product of the public school system as well, San Antonio ISD. I was valedictorian of my high school class. I went to Wheatley, but now it's Breckenridge. I have degrees from the University of Texas, San Antonio in political science, and currently studying for my master's in public administration. My priorities, where I've been on the board, of course running to get reelected and continue the great things that we've been doing on the board and working to improve them as well. So hopefully the message this evening will be, just that we can continue to work and do what's needed on the board. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you guys for those. I'm so sorry, Lacey. Thank you so much for those opening statements. So, as we all know, teachers, principals, and school staff are currently leaving the education profession in alarming numbers. Working conditions, pay, and other job opportunities are all factors in helping attract and retain highly efficient teachers. So the question I pose to you today, As a school board trustee, what will you do or say to keep teachers in the profession? We will be starting off with Ms. Williams.
Okay. So as a school board trustee, what would I do or say to keep teachers in the profession? We've been doing, of course, as was mentioned, the pandemic that we've all been going through has contributed to the loss of teachers going to other professions or looking at other means. We've instituted a stipend program to try to address some of the issues. We also feel that the benefits that's provided currently for NEISD teachers have helped to try to retain and as well as recruit good teachers. A lot of the benefits are the best. I would consider the best in the school districts in comparison to the other school districts, and we've had success with that as well. We know we're not going to be able to keep everyone as they look at other opportunities or other avenues, but we just want to encourage folks to go into the teaching profession. I'm a product of 2 teachers. My mom taught school. My dad was a chemistry professor at a university in Houston. So we just want to let them know that we support them, that one of my priorities is staff development, which includes teachers and all staff. So we want to make sure that the benefits that we continue to provide for them are acceptable and help promote them to stay with us or come to NEISD. So hopefully that will help to recruit or retain good teachers.
Thank you very much. We will now be looking to Ms. Roland for her answer.
Thank you. We must support new teachers, provide mentor teachers for them for the first year to guide them, and give them added time for questions and planning with others. As a district, we should build and plan for career development, pay for graduate courses, and bring them online to the district and pay for certification add-ons and testing. Provide for leadership training for those who wish to go into administration, and teach leaders how to have empathy and trust, and how to instill good working relationships, and look for ways to retain teachers long-term, such as loans, housing, childcare, and grow our own teachers, provide for education, and pay for incentives to retain teachers in the district, such as hiring, pay for their education if they will sign on for a 5-year contract.
Thank you. And finally, we're going to have Ms. Klein answer.
We seriously need to address the conditions these teachers face on campus. Compensation is not the main issue. I understand it to be a combination of problems with students and administration. Many educators that I talk to say that they are not happy with the politicization of the district, but don't feel that they can speak truthfully and honestly without fear of retaliation if what they want to express runs counter to administration. I haven't spoken with a single teacher who does not want to teach or who is not passionate about their work. Teachers on campuses here in District 2 are dealing with real issues of safety and security. In May of 2021, a loaded handgun was found in a bathroom, and a student tried to grab the firearm of the campus officer at Ed White Middle School in the span of 1 week. One of those students was allowed to return to campus without consequence. We need to give staff the ability to administer disciplinary measures that are necessary to regain control of their classrooms. Students regularly curse at teachers, skip class, and even fight without fear of consequence. No amount of money that you can offer a teacher will be enough compensation to convince them to continue to put themselves in physical danger. Restorative discipline is not working, and we need to give the power back to the teachers and the support staff to make these campuses safe for teachers again.
Thank you very much for those answers. Glad the microphone's working again. So the role of a school district is primarily the education of its students, but schools are asked to meet other needs of students. Emotional, nutrition, because for some students, meals are the most nutritious and they're guaranteed food of the day at school, and extracurricular activities. So the question I pose to you guys is, what priorities should be placed on these services? How can a school district maintain these demands in the current budgetary and political climate? We will be starting with Ms. Roland.
The role of the public schools is to educate students in order to be good citizens. This was the original purpose for forming schools, and it holds true for today. For students, they are not able to concentrate to learn, but preparing students to read, write, speak correctly, make change, follow instructions, work in a group, work independently, and for the greater good of society, that's the most important education that we can give students. The nutrition program is very important in our schools, and it goes hand in hand with helping these students truly participate daily. Educators have been put upon to do more and more every day what is expected with their time, but they are not the home base. When this happens, the say-so of parents is lessened, and more responsibility of the schools for the everyday needs of the students becomes less decision-making power of the parents. And that's what we see today. Less decision-making power of the parents, more decision-making power of the schools. Parents are now willing to take back more of their power, and this is a good thing. Now is the time for the districts to relinquish some of their powers and give back the duties back to the home and the community.
Thank you so much for that answer. Ms. Klein, you're welcome to answer next.
The political environment should not have anything to do with our children's academic performance, which is suffering. Education should be non-political. I believe that something we can all agree on is our desire for the success of our children. The schools need the support of parents, but parents need the support of schools as well. Districts need to partner with parents to give them the resources to address emotional and other needs at home. Not every family situation looks the same, but with respect, not every family situation looks the same, but every student has a parent or guardian who should be leading in that respect. With regard to nutrition, neglect and poverty are the two issues most commonly linked to child welfare removal cases. With inflation on the rise, parents are going to experience an increased difficulty making ends meet and providing for the needs of their families. We need to make advocates and resources available to these parents to help equip them with the tools that ensure that none of our children go to bed hungry.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, we will be hearing from Ms. Williams.
Somebody on. That's a great question. Over the years, especially during COVID, we were not forced, but we had a lot of students, parents accepted this as well, or this was important to parents as well, because we found a lot of them still had to work, of course, through COVID. A lot of times both parents were working, and they depended on the schools to provide nutrition, breakfast, lunch for their child, not just during the school year, but during summers as well. We worked in conjunction with the PTA, with other volunteers to provide actually over 1 million meals to students. We found, of course, that it's hard to educate a child if they're focusing on getting a meal, or if they're focusing on being hungry. Parents were very grateful, if you will, for the meals. I mean, they didn't come, we had school buses that actually went to them. If there were apartment complexes, we went to them to provide these meals. So a high priority is placed on not just education, but nutrition. Because again, we can't educate if a child cannot focus on their education. No, it's not political. I don't feel that it's political, but it's a necessity as well. We include that in the budget. It needs to be included in the budget under the school nutrition program. So that's available for the students. The parents have been appreciating that. Thank you.
Thank you for those answers. So now, as we all know, that the COVID pandemic created massive challenges in our public schools. The rapid shift to remote learning, student enrollment decline, academic learning loss, parent disengagement, and unaddressed social and emotional needs will have an impact on our schools for years to come. So the question I pose to y'all is, what should our districts do to meet this challenge? We will be starting off with the answer from Jacqueline Klein.
Parents didn't disengage. Parents were locked out. COVID has become a convenient excuse for pre-pandemic problems, although it certainly exacerbated them. The school's role of a social worker is limited. Parents are best equipped to meet the emotional needs of their own children, whom they know best. Enrollment declined due to mandates, disregard for parent wishes, and lack of responsiveness. Roosevelt has been in a steady performance decline since my opponent, Ms. Williams, joined the board. We need to refocus on our students' academic success and let parents do the parenting.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have the answer from Terry Williams.
I agree. This question of the COVID pandemic had a lot of challenges. I know everyone heard about mask mandates, whether there should be masks or no masks. Again, parents were trying to work a lot of times. Both of them were working. I personally toured some of the campuses when we went to remote learning to see how kids were learning during that remote atmosphere, or if there were issues going on during that time. Parents appreciated the fact that we were still trying to find ways to educate during that period. There are a lot of challenges, as a lot of you all well know, during that period. We feel that we have, again, done a lot to address it, the nutrition, listening to parents regarding masks. Of course, it's hard to please everyone. We have 65,000 students in NEISD. I may represent the single member District 2, but as a board member, we represent all the students and have to hear from all the parents. Those forums are open at every board meeting. We try to accommodate all of those issues, but again, it's hard to accommodate that. But we try to meet the challenges and institute programs and policies. We've also provided hotspots when parents or kids did not have that computer access to continue with the remote learning. So there's been a lot of challenges, and we are trying to continue to meet those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we will have our answer from Rhonda Roland.
The first thing that must be done in order to address the impact of COVID in our schools is to ensure critical academic learning. Most of our students were left behind, with distant learning, with greatest learning loss in special needs areas. More time has to be devoted to the essentials, language arts, and math. We have to bite the bullet and say, while other skills are important, these are our priority. Yes, we must have science, social studies, music, PE, computers, but less time can be spent during the school day on these subjects. We must guarantee that the basic foundation is strong to build upon. When we have once again made certain that our students are excelling in the fundamentals, parents will regain trust, become more involved in positive ways, enrollment will increase, and we will be able to meet the ancillary needs of our students.
Thank you very much for those answers. Before we proceed on to the next question, I would like to remind the candidates that we are wanting to know more about you, so we would please ask you to refrain from referencing other candidates' past statements. So now we are moving on, and let's address PTA. PTA gives our school district a voice. So the question I pose to you guys today is, what will you do as a trustee to encourage more parents and guardians to join and become active in the PTA? Apologies, the first person to answer this question is going to be Ms. Williams.
Yes, it's still on. I also feel that PTA not only gives students a voice, but gives parents a voice as well. It gives teachers a voice as well. As a parent of former Roosevelt students, I was a member of the PTA during that time, an active member of the PTA, and actively involved in all of my son's activities. I would just do just that, speak to everyone that I can, speak to every parent that I can, speak to every teacher that I can, and let them and encourage them to join the PTA, because again, that is their voice. That is an active group to communicate with, to not only let their concerns be known, but come up with recommendations to address some of those concerns. So I'll reach out and speak to everyone I can to get them to join the PTA, not just parents, teachers, guardians, grandparents, everyone that's involved, because that's the way you start to become involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Ms. Klein answer the question.
When I was growing up, my mother and other moms were a constant presence in our classroom and at school functions. However, most parents these days work outside of the home. The best advice I have to offer the PTA is to meet during times when working parents can attend. Working parents only have so much time, and meetings that fall during a workday are a barrier to their participation. Parents want to be involved, and after-hours meetings would give them the opportunity to do so. When my boys attended Wilshire Elementary, the PTA meetings were in the evenings. They were well attended, and I was able to participate. Our responsibility as trustees is to the educational direction of the district, but I absolutely want to take every opportunity to increase parental involvement at every level.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, we will hear from Ms. Roland.
Well, I have some kind of outside the box suggestions. Having a PTA week and celebration at each school with recognition at the board meetings would be one way to encourage joining. Advertising the history of the PTA and the impact that this organization has had on schools through morning announcements, school websites, district newsletters, and take-home flyers. Contest in the elementary grades for the most participation, and join-ups with the winners getting a popcorn or ice cream party. PTA heroes visiting the schools to read to the students for a special join-up week, plan a puppet show, show math or science tricks, or even help in the lunchroom. Highlight all the things provided by the PTA to staff, students, and parents. Have the students design a campaign poster in the high school and middle school for a join-up week with a cash prize to the winner. Create t-shirts yearly for the parents to wear to all volunteer functions to show their membership in this great organization.
Thank you for that answer. Our district is close to being landlocked with little further major development or growth. Areas surrounding our district have plenty of land and housing for less than what can be found in NEISD. So the question I pose to you guys today, how can we remain a premier district in the area despite this challenge? The first answer is going to come from Ms. Roland.
Instead of looking at this issue as a negative, let's think of this in a positive way. We can build on the capacity of the schools that we have now, continually improving, maintaining, and innovating. We can enhance our student population and pledge to give them the utmost in education. We can learn to be creative in finding new areas for housing by working with city councils, developers, realtors, chambers of commerce, and we can utilize unused facilities for new educational purposes. We can become the school district where people want to send their students because of its sterling reputation. We don't have to be the biggest to be the best.
Thank you for that answer. Next, Ms. Williams.
Again, this is a good question. And one of the issues I feel is communication. The district currently has done a lot, maybe I'm a little biased, but has done a lot to become a premier district. Our magnet schools, we have students coming from every part of the district to attend a lot of our magnet schools. ETA has been one, where we sit right here at Roosevelt High School, the data program, the agricultural program, the performing arts program, and most recently, the cybersecurity program, the Institute for Cybersecurity and Innovation. And that's just what we did. We used an unused, or located that in an unused former, I believe it was a Walmart building over on Nacogdoches. And now that houses the district's ICSI, which is the Institute for Cybersecurity and Innovation, preparing students for the next level of industry, partnering with industry and letting them, where they let us know what's needed in the workforce, so that when kids graduate, they are ready to either enter the workforce or they have a lot of expertise to help in their college career or even their military career, because there's a lot of cybersecurity needs in the military in addition to aerospace needs. So this is getting out in other districts as well, as far as what's being done in NEISD. And we find some of those other districts are coming to us and trying to understand or find out, hey, what are you guys doing? So I think we have programs instituted that's making us the premier district. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, Ms. Klein.
Unfortunately, I feel that there are portions of NEISD that are no longer a premier district, landlocked or not. We cannot continue to produce adults who can't make their way in the world. I've spoken with teachers and administration at the Alamo Community Colleges, and the feedback I get is that our graduates are not prepared to enter college at a basic level. They cannot craft grammatically correct essays, and they are unable to communicate effectively in writing. Those failings are the product of poor board and superintendent leadership. Growing the district would not solve the issues we face, which we need to address before we concern ourselves with an inability to expand. My chief concern and focus are here in District 2. Magnet schools are a fantastic asset to NEISD. However, Roosevelt is ranked in the 38th percentile among schools in Texas. Compare this to the 93.9% performance rate at Reagan, and this is in spite of the fact that Roosevelt invests $2,300 more per child per year. Funding is not the problem as Bexar County property assessments rise and residents pay more and more in the way of taxes. Nor is it the answer. As a board member, I want student success to be the standard by which our reputation is restored. When I bought my house 17 years ago, One of the main reasons that I chose to live where I do was the schools where my future children would attend. However, this year, I moved them into a charter school. I don't want to get ahead of the other questions, and so I will elaborate more at that point in a minute.
Thank you for that answer. So charter schools, as we just mentioned, continue to expand and be built within our district. So the question I pose to you guys today is, how do you feel about the expansion of charter schools in our community? And what can NEISD do to retain these students? We will begin with the answer from Ms. Klein.
As I just stated a moment ago, at the beginning of the year, I decided to enroll both of my boys in a charter school. I watched and attended board meetings and spoke with other parents who also felt that they and their students were being underserved by this district. Their wishes were not being respected and their opinions were being dismissed offhand. Parents are going to go to schools where they feel that their immediate needs are being met. Children with higher levels of parental involvement typically perform at higher levels academically, and we are losing some of our best and brightest to these institutions that listen to parents. I believe that your money should follow your children. I believe that this competition is healthy, and it's a good incentive to lead the district to be more focused on academic achievement. As a trustee, I want involvement in academic success to make this district one where parents and guardians would rather place their children instead of in charter schools.
Thank you for that answer. Now we will hear from Ms. Williams.
Charter schools continue to be an issue in all districts, whether it's NEISD, SAISD, Northside, or other districts. What a lot of the community does not know is a lot of parents who take their kids out of charter schools early, they bring them back. And we've been tracking that where students will leave and then later on they'll come back because they find out that the charter school doesn't have a structured discipline policy in place, or they don't have the well-rounded activities, extracurricular activities that they want their child to participate in that public schools have. We've heard that directly from parents, from students. One of the other issues about charter schools, again, they're everywhere. Your tax dollars, however, still remain with the district. We are doing a lot to try to retain these students or bring the students back. We have instituted additional programs. We've talked with parents. And again, a lot of folks don't understand that a lot of the charter schools, they're profit making. Some are profit making, some are non-profits. But we're looking at the differences. We're looking at how we can compete or communicate better so that folks will understand the differences. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, Ms. Roland.
I feel the same way about leaving a public school for a charter school as I do about leaving a marriage to have an affair. You do not abandon what you have invested in to try something else because it looks different. You stay and fight and try to make whatever is wrong better. It takes work. It takes dedication. We as adults teach our children perseverance is a noble trait. Therefore, we cannot give up on our community schools. We must put in the diligence to do whatever it takes to maintain our home schools. I was a principal hired at a school that was about to be taken over by the state. It was my first principalship. I was given a mandate by the superintendent to clean it up. I met with staff to whittle out a plan to completely transform the school. It took time and sweat, but the staff was with me every step of the way. It meant timely staff development, changing reading and math curriculum, giving up free time for teachers, asking parents to take on more volunteer roles, stricter discipline for students, changes in schedules, and greater expectation for parents. A lot of nights, weekends, and summer plans were given up, but the results paid off. We became a shining school in our district, one where students excelled, staff were respected and revered, and parents were proud. I am pro-public education. No charter or public schools can offer students the well-rounded curriculum that public education can.
Thank you for that answer. The pandemic was not kind to promoting family engagement. In your opinion, how can our campuses improve to ensure families feel welcome and engaged? We will first hear from Ms. Williams.
Well, again, as a parent of two former Roosevelt High School students, NEISD students, I've always felt welcome and have always been engaged. The district, as well as other districts, have the parent portal. I was one who always checked the parent portal to make sure that my kids were doing what they were supposed to do, and if not, I contacted the teacher or contacted whoever I need to make sure that they were doing what they're supposed to do. In 2020, of course, we know the pandemic was still going on, started in late 2019. A lot of schools were wondering, what can we do, for graduation? Of course, we were used to having graduations at the Coliseum or huge venues. One thing that we did was something unique. We had each graduation at the school, in the auditorium, and encourage and allow the families to walk on the stage with their with their students. We had a lot of compliments from that because, of course, at the large venue, all they could do is sit back and, in whatever row and cheer them on. This way, they got a chance to participate. If they had seniors or elderly, they were able to actually participate, walk the stage, take pictures with them. And that was a huge success and a huge positive toward family engagement. They wanted us to do it again as in 2021, last year, but of course the students wanted to all be with their friends together, but that was something unique and different that really promoted family engagement. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Now we will hear from Ms. Roland.
I think two things promote family engagement. First of all, you have the children or the students in a setting where they are focused. If you present the students, the parents will come to see their children, their students. Secondly, and this may sound trite, but if you feed them, they will come. I think there's something about the environment of the fellowship of food that breaks down the social barriers and people engage together. New friendships are garnered, trust is built, a feeling of a safe place, people feel welcome, bonds are formed, and schools once again become the hub of the community. It becomes a gathering place, and this familiar anchor enriches families and communities.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, we will hear from Ms. Klein.
As I just said, for example with the PTA, I advocate strongly for parental involvement and engagement. Making families feel welcome isn't relegated just to campuses. It begins with the trustee, and if I were elected, it would begin with me. The best way to make families feel welcomed and engaged is to be responsive to emails, to parents who come to speak at board meetings, and those who feel compelled to pick up the phone and make a call. I promise to listen. Parents did not check out. Parents were checked out. There is a large contingent of very engaged parents who feel disconnected because their pleas fell on deaf ears. Parents do not have enough of a voice on this board, and that is why we must lead by example in being welcoming and engaging with families and guardians.
Thank you very much for that answer. Public education is under attack. As a school board trustee, what will be your plan to have a presence, voice, and compelling message during the 88th legislative session? We will begin with Ms. Roland.
I would be willing to speak before the legislators, write our representatives, visit offices in Austin, lobby, and serve on committees. I did lobby in Washington, D.C. through the National Council for funding for No Child Left Behind, for mandates. I walked Capitol Hill and visited senators and congressmen to stress the importance of fully funding schools trying to implement NCLB. I know how vital eye-to-eye contact can be.
Thank you for that answer. Next, we will hear from Ms. Klein.
The legislation I have seen in recent years regarding public education is only viewed as an attack by those districts who refuse to listen to parents. Northeast ISD has an appointed representative to the Texas Association of School Boards. As it is known, the TASB also subscribes to the National Association of School Boards, which you may recall wrote the letter that the DOJ used to label concerned parents as domestic terrorists. The attack that I see is not on public education, rather on parents and parental rights. Whether on this board or as a private citizen, I intend to exercise my voice and present a compelling message in the upcoming legislative session. In March, I submitted 11 resolutions for consideration to a party platform for the 88th session. Some of the issues upon which I focused were transparency in education, parents' rights to know and consent, protection of privacy and data collection, due process for discipline in education, and protection of parental rights. As a board member, I will fight for the parents and students of this district and across this state.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, we will hear from Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Is it on? Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you. Well, as mentioned, the NEISD does have a representative on the TASB board. That representative is me. We work closely with all of the other 1,100 school board representatives in rural communities, in other urban communities, and listen to what everyone's issue is. We advocate from a legislative perspective what the issues are collectively as a whole. We coordinate through the government relations staff. We coordinate with others in our region to develop a legislative agenda. I've participated in that coordination. Our region is Region 20. I've also participated in the Greater Chamber's SA to DC advocacy trips to Congress, and participated in the education committee, not just participated, but co-chaired and led that education committee, letting them know, what issues are concerned here in San Antonio, in Northeast ISD, because again, it's not just when the district succeeds, all campuses, all students succeed. And we have to look at all students, as well as the district that we represent. But that's the plan that I will continue to legislate or to implement as far as legislative considerations and helping to promote the concerns that we have. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Parents across the state have indicated that they want input into, authority over, and transparency regarding their child's education. Do you think the district allows for these parent requests? How can we balance this with the collective needs of our community? How can we ensure teachers feel valued in this climate? We will begin with Ms. Klein.
I have not spoken to any parents who want authority. They want input and they want transparency, and as taxpayers, I believe they deserve that. The more a board insists that their questions are unnecessary or that we blindly trust what has been shown to be failing leadership, it only leads to more questions. Parents are not a group against whom collective needs should be balanced. They comprise the collective community. When parents are involved, student performance increases, and this has a positive ripple effect on teacher morale, teacher fulfillment, and drives higher retention rates.
Thank you for that answer. We will now hear from Ms. Williams.
Thank you. That's a great question. The district allows for input from everybody. As you know, we have a portion of the agenda that's matters from the floor. Matters from the floor means parents can come and express their concerns. However, there are certain guidelines as a board that we have to follow. We cannot actually respond at that moment and debate or have a conversation at that moment with anyone who comes up, you know, if it's a parent or a student. We are not allowed to engage at that time, but we do hear them, and we let them know that we do hear them. And at times we, let them know that we will follow up. As a board member, parents are not shy in emailing all of us. We get lots of emails from parents on a daily basis. So those emails are followed up. Now, we can't share that information because, of course, it's confidential. I'm sure you would not want someone to share confidential information about your issue. But, I personally have followed up and have helped to resolve some of those parent issues that have come to me through those emails. So we try to make sure as much as possible that everyone has a voice, especially parents, especially families, that they are engaged and that there is transparency. We have a lot of information on the website. The superintendent does messages every week and puts those out as well. So we try to encourage folks to go and get that information. Of course, board meeting.
Thank you. That is your time. Finally, we will hear from Ms. Roland.
I believe that transparency is the key to renewed trust in our educational system. The mere fact that parents want to have input in the decisions of the district is a very positive thing. We must harness this zeal and provide for parents in increasingly new ways to bring them on board as partners and not adversaries. Policies can be posted on the internet, district and school websites, and printed and available as hard copies at schools and at district offices. New policies can be discussed at public forums, and opinion of stakeholders can be gathered through surveys and media polling. Schools can hold workshops for parents to keep them informed and ask questions on a regular basis. Public participation can be welcomed and encouraged part of each board meeting, as they do in person and online. Parents can be partnered with teachers to work on issues that affect their schools.
Thank you very much for all three of those answers. Recent parent concerns have highlighted the need for checks and balances in our school system. The question I pose to you, do you think public education in the state organizations such as the Texas Education Agency have the checks and balances in place to guarantee a successful educational process? Who is ultimately responsible for curriculum content And do you think groups such as the Student Health Advisory Committee are a viable part of the process? We will begin with Ms. Williams.
Okay, there's two parts there. There's a lot of things in both of those questions. But when it concerns checks and balances, Texas Education Agency, the state, there are a lot of requirements that we must meet. There's, of course, there's a lot of scorecard requirements. Every district, every school has a scorecard. Every district is held accountable and responsible for the performance, for the funding, for attendance. So I think there's really an overabundance of checks and balances to guarantee, and I use that word kind of lightly because nothing can be guaranteed. There's a lot of processes in place, but to do the best thing possible to give each child a successful education. So who's ultimately responsible? Well, I know folks will say the board is ultimately responsible for the curriculum. The board is ultimately responsible for the success or non-success of the district. We hire the superintendent. We look to the superintendent and his staff to present curriculum information that makes sense, curriculum information that will help students. Advisory committees, I feel, are important. What was mentioned is the SHAC Advisory Committee when it comes to help the advisory. We look to experts. So, of course, again, the board is ultimately responsible, but not just in a vacuum. We coordinate with a lot of experts. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. We will now be turning the floor to Ms. Klein for her answer.
The greatest system for checks and balances is full transparency. The elected officials, the trustees, ought to ultimately be responsible for selection of curriculum content, not appointed committees and not the administration. With that said, I do believe that committees such as the SHAC do play an important role in giving advice to the board. Committee determinations should be checked and balanced by the board and through TEA and can be effective methods when applied evenly. Elected members have the responsibility to take that information and decide whether what they are given aligns with Texas Education Code and the needs of the community. Making these processes open and available to everyone is necessary for these groups to continue to be a vital component of community input.
Thank you for that answer. Finally, we are turning the floor to Ms. Klein for her answer.
No, Roland. That's okay.
I'm so sorry for that mix-up, and thank you for correcting me. Ms. Klein just had the floor, and we're turning it to Ms. Roland. I appreciate you guys correcting me on that.
That's okay. If I'm going to be mistaken for somebody,
That's a good person to be
my mother
mistaken.
can tell us apart, right?
Thank you guys for...
Well, let's talk a little bit about curricula and how it comes down the pond. TEA pays educators to write curricula every summer, adding and culling as needed. I believe they try to stay on the cusp of innovation and technology. They must balance the classics with contemporary. And when choosing the textbooks, samples are sent to each district to preview at each school so teachers can have the opportunity to decide what best fits their needs. Parents can also preview the materials at their local schools or district, and then a vote is taken district-wide. That ensures that each district picks the one that most closely aligns with their philosophy of learning. While it's not a perfect system, it does involve several decision makers. And so much as SHAC is to reflect the local community values, I believe it is an important part of the process. But I also believe that parent, church, clergy, teachers, and student groups should be heard in regular meetings and in forums also.
Thank you for those answers. That has concluded the questions for today's forum. Let's go to closing statements. Again, each person will have 2 minutes for closing statements, and we will go in reverse alphabetical order, with Terry Williams going first. We're so close to the end, I'll try not to make any more mistakes when it comes to me. With that being said, Ms. Williams, you do have the floor.
That's okay, I don't think I could be mistaken for any of the other two ladies. But once again, I'd like to thank everyone. Thank everyone for this opportunity. Thank the Northeast PTA for this opportunity. For everyone to learn a little bit more in person about each of us. I just want to emphasize that the board sets policy. We're not in a position to operate the district or any school. We're not in a position of management as far as actively managing any school or any district. We manage the superintendent, so to speak. However, our input is of course valuable. We make sure that we read every bit of information that is given to us by the staff, who is of course well equipped, well educated to do the job that they've been hired to do. I'm hoping that we can continue to implement new programs, implement better programs, do more to engage everyone, parents, students. Everything's not perfect, and we're not saying that everything is perfect. Nothing is perfect. There's always room for improvement. I am committed to continuing that, to work harder, and hopefully gain your confidence once again. So thank you so much.
Thank you for those closing remarks. We will now have our closing remarks from Ms. Roland.
I want to thank those who made this night possible, the PTA organization. I also want to thank those who came to listen to the candidates. Voting is putting your beliefs into action. It is the truest form of democracy that we own. Use your voice wisely. Your children's future depends on it.
Thank you for those closing remarks. Finally, we will hear closing remarks from Ms. Klein.
Again, thank you to everyone for being here, and for everyone who took the time to either tune in online or will watch in the future. And thank you for the Northeast Association of PTAs for hosting this event. Voter turnout for school board elections has been notoriously low, possibly because voters have been lulled into believing that the school boards put the children's best interests first, regardless of who is elected. This year, trustees and administrators in Texas and elsewhere have shown us that that can no longer be assumed, and that we should take the time to learn about school board candidates and cast a vote on election day. For most of us, few things in life are more important than the way our children and grandchildren are being raised. Society relies on the family to provide for children's physical, mental, and spiritual development. A family's authority over how their children is raised is not surrendered when their children cross a threshold into a public school. Parents rightly expect the school to partner with them in ensuring that each child receives a quality education. A school district's board of trustees is just as important as a city council or a county commissioner's court. School districts receive the biggest share of your property taxes. Trustees decide school policies and curriculum and how the money will be spent. They are a bridge between parents and school administrators. Engaged trustees do not simply let administrators tell them what to do. They are equally receptive to parents' desires. On May 7th, I ask for your vote for trustee for NEISD District 2. I will make sure that your voices are heard.
Thank you, Ms. Klein, Ms. Roland, and Ms. Williams for coming and letting us learn more about your views. We sincerely appreciate your willingness to engage this group. I will now turn it back over to our Northeast ISD Council of PTA's Advocacy Chair, Jennifer Easley.
Thank you.
It's on? Okay. All right, well, I just want to say thank you to all three candidates for participating. It really was nice to hear all three of your voices in person, as mentioned. And I'd also, although we were supposed to be quiet while we were listening to the candidates, but please give a round of applause to our awesome moderator, Leah Hartman. It's you. I appreciate everybody being here, but having a student moderator and reminding us why we're here, and having somebody from Roosevelt, I think just makes it extra special. So I want to thank all of you in the audience who obviously appreciate the importance of these types of elections, and hopefully will be encouraging people in this community to vote, as well as those of you joining online and watching this recorded. The candidates hopefully will stick around a little bit after the program, and we'd also like a picture here of you with our moderator. Early voting begins Monday, April 25th, and ends on May the 3rd, Tuesday, and Election Day is Saturday, May the 7th. PTA is a membership organization that advocates. We have PTAs on 66 of our 67 campuses. To join an NEISD PTA, please visit joinpta.org. It's super easy. We hope that you enjoyed this forum, and thank you for your support and advocacy on behalf of our over 60,000 students in NEISD, because the future of Texas is in our public schools. Thank you very much.